Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are back with more Autobiography of a Freedom Writer. Let's go ahead. So I scoot up so I can get more light so I can see because my eyes suck. Let's get back into this. Medgar Evers was one of the bravest men I have ever known. He did more for the state of Mississippi than anyone. After his tour of duty as a soldier in World War II, when he experienced a more tolerant, racially integrated society in Europe, he returned to Mississippi and the injustices of Jim Crow, and he became so angry he wouldn't stand for it anymore. Medgar fought tirelessly against discrimination in the laws and culture of the South. However, he rejected any use of violence as a means to improve our plight. I would sometimes get tired of the organizers from the North who claimed to know how we blacks felt and about our situation in Mississippi. Many organizers from the North thought that black Southerners felt that because they had been in that muck and mire of segregation for so long, they were stuck and that there was nothing that could be done. That is far from the correct analysis. There were two completely different points of view among black Southerners when it came to speaking out against segregation. One segment of the black population told the organizers that they didn't want to be bothered. This type of reaction was precipitated by fear. This was the segment that perhaps had more to do or more to lose if their association with the organizers became known. Uh, that job that held everything together and was the means of survival for themselves, their children, and other dependent family members. That position was not easily understood by some of our northern um, organizers. The other segment of the black population was willing to listen when approached by organizers. They had been thinking or looking for a leader or leaders. They wanted someone to provide some direction. As Jane Pittman said when the organizers approached in the movie Miss Jane Pittman, the people wondered, is he the one? Is he the one? Make no mistake, these two segments watched out for each other. The first segment would often say, I've got your back. And the second segment, they often ran interference for the second segment. They often distracted the enemy away from their activist brothers. They provided a sometimes invisible and sometimes aggressive line of defense. One should never discount that first segment of blacks. They are partly the reason that the second group succeeded. They made us a part of their community. They covered for us, and what a job they did. I salute them. The success of the civil rights movement would not have been possible without the heroic efforts of the ordinary black men and women of the South. These were the little people, a term coined by Medgar Evers, who fought the actual battle. When I speak of the little people, I lift up sharecroppers, tenant farmers, cleaning women and cooks, teachers and students, and small business people of the South. They are the foot soldiers who made history. They were not photographed, and their voices were seldom heard. They spoke not to the glare of the television cameras, but to the hearts and souls of the black masses. It was difficult for leaders to come up through the ranks of the little people when they had all they can handle, just trying to stay alive. This was Mississippi, man. So this other segment said, I'm willing to take a chance. I'm willing to listen. What is it that you, as an organizer, wish me to do? And the answer was, we want you to stand up for what you believe is right. We want you to fight your best fight against segregation. We want you to be willing to die with us for the cause. These organizers often taught the Fannie Lou Hamers and others who developed into great leaders. In 1960, black Mississippians were aware of the public protests taking part in other parts of the South. We were not yet ready to make that move. However, we were floating the idea of public protest at mass meetings. Medgar was worried that the tactics just might not work in Mississippi. He was concerned that we did not have enough legal and financial support in the state. There was very few black lawyers in Mississippi. The other factor working against us was the Jackson Advocate, the largest black-owned newspaper in the state of Mississippi. Movement people thought Movement people thought founder and owner Percy Green was a black segregationist. He was indeed a conservative black man. However, if one viewed his work only through the window of history, one might conclude that he was a racist segregationist. Should by no means take away from Percy's original intentions for the newspaper, which was conceived to give a voice to oppressed people in Mississippi. Founded in 1938, the newspaper was the pride of the black community in the 1940s. It was in the 1950s that Green lost the backing of most of the black community. During that time, he profusely criticized the efforts of black leaders. Later, Green printed editorials criticizing the efforts of the Freedom Riders. Many Negroes have been heard to express the opinion that Negroes of the city of Jackson would be better off if the Freedom Riders had never come to Jackson. 32 Mississippi natives would join the Freedom Ride, proved the opinion to be wrong. In addition to the dismay of blacks, Percy Green began accepting money from the Sovereignty Commission, the state agency whose aim was to destroy the civil rights movement. Even Green's civil rights leadership in the 1940s and 50s and his determination to make a contribution to the struggle of African Americans in the South was all overshadowed when he became critical of the movement. He allowed the newspaper to become a tool of the white segregationist power structure. Because of the black newspaper's political position, in the spring of 1960, Medgar embarked on another tactical promotion for the civil rights of blacks, economic boycotts. However, he felt that the Jackson Negroes needed to be educated about what a boycott really meant. At various mass meetings we began calling for area students to join us in the education of the Mississippi Negro. It was estimated that more than 600 students from various schools and colleges showed up for duty. In the in early April 1960, those students um, began visiting the homes of more than 5,000 blacks in the city, informing each household of boycott, plans for an Easter week, and advising them not to shop at stores that discriminated against them. Some of the blacks contracted were indeed pessimistic about the boycott, and some were puzzled. It was as if we, the students, had to tell them things that they knew so well. We had to remind them that those were the same stores that would not let them try on a pair of shoes because they were Negroes. The same stores that would not hire them or let them eat at the lunch counters located within the stores. We had to remind them of the things that had been happening to them all their lives. Most blacks were ready to boycott and wondered what took you so long to get here. The Easter week boycott, April 10th to the 17th of 1960, of Jackson's downtown businesses was a huge success. Once we started, our determination was that we would never turn back, even though some blacks who continued to shop at the white owned stores were harassed by other blacks. On occasion, their purchased items were taken and destroyed. Organizers never knew if they would return home from these actions. When we planned them, we prepared ourselves to die. Meanwhile, voter registration campaigns remained constant throughout the state. That summer, I was sent by the NAACP to many small towns in southern Mississippi to train and register black voters. I always thought if I remained in my home state after the summer of 1960, I would be killed. But we'll go ahead and end this episode there. So, yeah, we are seeing how things are beginning. We talked about him helping others get prepared to register to vote. And again, they also talk in this piece about, at the end there, about registering uh, others to vote. But one thing he focuses on is a boycott in Jackson, Mississippi in April of 1960. So, yeah, we see the effects starting. And he even talks about how there is a bit of a separation because of what some African Americans are willing to do more or less than others. Excuse me, I'm drinking a cup of tea here, so anyway, yeah, things are starting to really crank up. The it ends part one and takes us into part two, answering the call, and chapter four, Cornerstone Tougaloo. So we'll be really getting into the depths of uh, his work for civil rights. But, as always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.